Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and it's time for round 2 of our Against the Ogre Horde Arena Tournament, featuring the Knight, the Barbarian, and the Dwarf on the challenger's side. This time, the defenders are going to be quite a bit more beefed up from the last arena battle. That is because the last arena battle was somewhat, while legitimate, not up to the standards that I wanted to set forth for my arena battles. You see, the challengers will compose a team, and a score will be calculated based on the power level according to the official rules. The defending team can build a team of monsters to engage the heroes up to their point level or less, and the monsters in the defending team's roster last time were certainly of a lesser power level. This time, however, we are going to go full on, at least matching the hero's power, if not exceeding it by 1 point. The combined power of the challenging team is 10, and this is the rating which we will be trying to match or slightly exceed with the defender side. This is based on the strongest attack of the heroes, being 3, 2, and 2 respectively, plus 1 for each hero. Last time we had a lot of ranged attackers, and I think this time we'll have somewhat of a mix. First on the defending team's roster, 2 ranged goblins with a score of 2 per goblin. With a total of 4, each goblin will hang out in the back corners of the defender room. Next up, we're going to go with a melee enemy, the orc, and this time we'll use one of the female orcs. This one I've painted. Her name is Rose. She's raring to go, and she's waiting out right in front of the door. Next, the abomination will be entering the rounds, the only enemy with more than 1 body point. Some people have expressed concerns that this sort of match is highly imbalanced, asymmetrical as it were, and I tend to agree as long as you're using the game system monsters and none of the specialty monsters from any of the expansions. But I think where the arena mode really shines is taking monsters that have really high attack but really low body points and mixing them with monsters that have really high body points but really low attack to kind of soak up the damage. You can also just incrementally increase the defender's power value until the heroes meet a suitable challenge, but remember to reward them accordingly. This time around, we'll be using the trophy tiles. If a challenger or defender ends their turn on a trophy tile, they may collect that tile with no action required, and the contents will be revealed whenever this happens. However, I'm going to shuffle these as best as I can and keep them as random as possible. The placement will be random as well. I'm going to roll a 10-sided die and cut that number in half, rounding down to determine how many trophy tiles to use this round. And that's going to be 4 trophy tiles. So we'll go ahead and use 1, 2, 3, 4 trophy tiles, and we'll discard the rest for now. I'm going to roll this die 8 more times to determine where in this grid they will go. X of 3 and Y of 4 for the first trophy tile, X of 1 and Y of 8 for the second trophy tile, X of 9. 9 is actually off the board, so it looks like this trophy tile won't be used at all, and no, I'm not going to reroll. And the fourth one will be X-axis of 8, Y of 6, meaning it will go right here. I think it's pretty clear who's going to get these tiles, and now we are ready to begin the game. So, let's get ready to rumble! The doors have opened. They've flown right out of their frame. The defending team goes first. The abomination storms onto the field. With a total movement of 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the abomination storms towards the heroes and collects the tile, which is extra defense for the defender team. Not a good look so far for the heroes. It is now the challenger's turn, and for the challengers, I'm going to go in the order of Barbarian, Knight, Dwarf, Barbarian, Knight, Dwarf, over and over. So we'll start with the Barbarian and go. That's an 8. The Barbarian thinks really hard. Should he rush in and attack the abomination, or should he collect the trophy tile to make sure that they have it? No, the Barbarian is of strength. The Barbarian is of threat. The Barbarian is of let's get this monster cleared off the board as soon as possible, and therefore the Barbarian attacks the abomination, for he does not need any buffs from potions, and that is 3 skulls. Can the abomination defend against this mighty attack? Yes, with 2 of the skulls, the abomination does mitigate 2 out of 3 of the skulls aimed at him. Black shields, that is, and now his body points have been turned down to 1. This was a pretty lucky hit, but also a pretty lucky defense on the enemy's turn. The monsters are now going to make their move with the female orc this time. We're going Abomination, Orc, and Archer, moving out onto the board. I think she was actually here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's not actually fast enough to collect this trophy tile, and she's not going to stop on this trophy tile, but she knows that the hero that comes out of here is probably going to land on this trophy tile. Then she can move in for an attack. What conniving strategies the defending team comes up with. An 8 has been rolled for the knight, and the knight goes 1, 2, and then thinks, should he go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and attack the orc? He thinks he will do that rather than land on the trophy tile. For if the orc can perish, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there shall be no need to worry about rushing to collect that trophy tile. The knight therefore attacks. 1 skull. Does the orc defend? Can she? No. The orc is immediately struck down. The knight has won his skirmish. It is the challenging team's end of turn. Is the defending team's beginning of turn. Now the goblins come into play, and actually there's a clear line of sight between this goblin archer and this hero. But because I think the goblins should leave their little room in order to actually be able to participate, and there's also a trophy tile right outside the door, the goblin is going to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and pick up that trophy tile, but not before launching into an attack on a faraway hero. This is going to be the Barbarian, and that's 2 skulls. Will the Barbarian be able to defend against this attack? Yes, 1 of them. The Barbarian defends 1 and loses 1. Now it is the hero's turn, and that means it's time for the dwarf to spring into action. The dwarf has a chance to run out and kill that abomination, and I think that's what he's going to do. So right up to the abomination and then attack. The dwarf has 2 attack dice, 1 of which is a skull, and the abomination is going to roll defense. That's 3 defense dice. It looks like it will die, but it's going to go ahead and use the trophy tile for monster defense on its turn. It's a good thing that this is a monster defense one after all, because now the abomination lives to see another day. And it's the other goblin archer's turn. Let's see, we'll go ahead and bring him out onto the field. Actually, her, because this is the lady archer. And by archer, I mean she throws pineapple bombs. And she's going to attack, yes, again, the barbarian, because why not? And the attack miserably fails. She accidentally tosses the pineapple back into the defender room, where it explodes against the wall, not because it's a bomb, but because it's a very messy fruit. And that is now the entirety of the activation cycle for the defending team, which means it's time for a new round. And because it's a new round, the defending team, again, goes first, this time starting with the abomination. And the abomination is going to attack the barbarian. And that is a miserable attack. Absolutely nothing was done here. The barbarian doesn't even need to roll for defense. The abomination is just flailing his arms around at this point. But that means it is the barbarian's turn, and the barbarian is going to react in kind. That is 3 skulls. Let's see if the abomination can defend against that. It cannot, and it is going to perish, except the abomination is going to use the body point healing potion tile. And the rules as written for this are: combatant may discard a healing potion trophy tile to restore lost body points equal to the number on the tile. If a combatant's body points are reduced to 0, they may discard a healing potion tile before they die to immediately restore body points. And so this brings up the abomination to 2. Now I know that there's going to be some debate on whether or not this should be valid, since the abomination would technically be losing more than the single body point, but in my mind, you get down to 0, then the rest of the attack is wasted, then the healing or second phase comes into effect. That's the way that I would do things at my table. It's the way that I've interpreted the rules here. So this is what we're going with, people. The abomination now has full body points. It's as if it never entered combat at all. And now it is the knight's turn, and the knight is going to run over, or attempt to, in order to be able to either attack the abomination or the goblins. We have a roll of 6, and we have the ability to get to one of the goblins, which will be in a very ill position to defend. Should the knight roll 2 skulls, the knight only rolled 1 skull. Will the goblin be able to defend against that skull? No. The first goblin, the boomerang thrower, dies miserably, with the knight cleaving its skull in twain. The female goblin looks over and screams in horror Not because she just witnessed another goblin getting murdered, but because the knight is so disgustingly ugly. Humans are just abominations to look at. Ugh, how frightening. His ears are so small, his teeth are so white. She can't stand the sight of him. And so, because it is now the defending team's turn, this goblin archer is going to ranged attack the knight, and it's going to be a pretty effective attack unless the knight can mitigate those two skulls, and does so appropriately. The knight is standing right here. He can see the goblin telegraphing her move. She pulls out another pineapple, shoves a bomb into it, rears back, and throws. And by this time, he was ready with his shield. He simply deflected it off to the side, kind of parrying and throwing the pineapple bomb into the audience, where it blows up a couple of skeletons onlooking, cheering from the Zargon side of the crowd. "Foul move," says the referee. Wait, where's the referee? "That's foul, but I'll allow it because it was really cool." Thanks, referee. That was useful. And now it's the hero's turn, and the dwarf is going to persist in attacking the abomination. We have 2 skulls. Can the abomination defend against this? No. The dwarf succeeded in absolutely laying the abomination flat this round. There are no more tiles left for anybody to collect. Well, not collect, but use. There is actually another tile for someone to collect. And so the dwarf is very interested in doing this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands right on the tile to collect it for the hero team. And it's a monster shield. Fantastic. This is quite useless for our team, but you know, it's fine. It's fine because nobody's really lost any body points except for the Barbarian. That's about to change. This goblin is the lone monster on the defending side, which means the goblin is emboldened and may now take a basic maneuver after each opponent's turn. A basic maneuver consisting of either moving up to their movement speed or rolling 2 attack dice against an adjacent creature. This goblin will maintain her activation token, which I'm actually not using for this video, and it is now her turn. Because she is an archer, she's going to do her best sniping the heroes. So she's going to move several paces away and then fire an arrow at the Barbarian. 2 attack dice later, 1 skull may actually hit the Barbarian, and it does. The Barbarian has now lost a total of 2 BP in this battle, bringing his total down to 5. It's the Barbarian's turn, and he only rolled a 6, so he's not quite able to reach this creature. Because the goblin is emboldened, she is able to take a basic maneuver after each opponent's turn, and that means she can run away from here right now. Let's see, where's the furthest point from all of these guys? Back into her room. I don't think I'm going to allow any monsters to run back into their room, or at least I'm going to have them choose not to. So she's actually going to move her 10 movement squares this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, right here in the far corner is fine. That's her basic maneuver. It is now the knight's turn. The knight has rolled a 2. Absolutely pathetic. He may actually just be very carefully assessing the goblin's movements, trying to make sure that he doesn't miss any hint, any telegraphing whatsoever of her throwing a very sneaky pineapple grenade. And now the goblin, again, is going to actually stay right where she is. The basic maneuver does not allow for ranged attacks, but just melee attacks. And that's a maximum of 2 attack dice against an adjacent creature. So it is now the dwarf's turn, and the dwarf is going to go. That's an 8. The dwarf is able to approach the goblin legitimately and attack her, and does so with 1 skull. Would the goblin be able to defend against this skull? No. The goblin is hacked to pieces. No tiles left to use on the monster side. The dwarf briefly considers allowing the monster to have the shield that he picked up. But well, where would be the fun in that? That actually would have been pretty cool. That would have been pretty honorable. Dwarf. I guess this dwarf isn't very honorable, though. Once again, brave heroes, our hero team has won, and it looks like we'll have to increase the power level by another 2 points for this next round. There will be no healing in between rounds, and we will continue to adjust the power level of the enemies until the heroes are overrun. When will this happen? And how? What configuration of monsters will it be that takes our heroes down and lays them low? Will that even happen, or will our heroes be able to continue conquering stronger and stronger foes beyond anyone's expectations? Find out in the next episode of HeroQuest Arena. That's it for this one. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and a special thanks to my patrons who help make all of this a reality, a list of which is coming up right now. Onward, brave heroes.